Welcome to iTCA, I Teach Cybersecurity Academy, an online learning platform dedicated to making cybersecurity simple, useful, and practical for everyone. Whether you are completely new to cybersecurity or you're looking to understand how cyber threats are identified, analyzed, and prevented, you are in the right place. This is the Cyber Threat Intelligence Full Course, and in this lesson we are starting with Module 1, Foundations of Intelligence. This module lays the groundwork for everything else you will learn throughout this course. Before we talk about cyber threats, attackers, or intelligence tools, we must first understand what intelligence really means, how it is produced, and how analysts think and work. Every day, organizations collect massive amounts of data. Logs, alerts, reports, notifications, and dashboards are constantly generated. Yet cyber attacks still succeed. The problem is not the lack of data. The real problem is the lack of intelligence. Data alone does not stop attacks. Intelligence does. This module helps you understand how raw data is transformed into meaningful intelligence that supports security, defense, and cyber operations. This module is designed for beginners, cybersecurity students, early career professionals, and anyone interested in cyber threat intelligence, SOC operations, or incident response. You do not need a military or intelligence background. Everything will be explained clearly step by step using relatable examples. By the end of this module, you will understand what intelligence means in simple terms, the difference between data, information, and intelligence, why intelligence is critical to security and defense, how to use basic intelligence terminology correctly, how the traditional intelligence cycle works, and the importance of intelligence tradecraft and analyst ethics. Let us begin with the most important question. What is intelligence? Intelligence is processed and analyzed information that supports decision-making. In simple terms, intelligence answers questions, reduces uncertainty, and helps leaders make informed decisions. Intelligence is not just information. For information to become intelligence, it must be collected for a specific purpose, analyzed by someone with expertise, and interpreted within the correct context. For example, knowing that many login attempts failed on a system is information. Understanding that those failed attempts are targeting administrator accounts from multiple locations and likely represent a brute force attack is intelligence. Intelligence explains what is happening, why it matters, and what should be done next. To understand intelligence clearly, we must distinguish between data, information, and intelligence. Data consists of raw, unprocessed facts such as IP addresses, timestamps, or usernames. When data is organized or summarized, it becomes information. For example, a log showing repeated login failures over a short period of time is information. Intelligence is produced when an analyst examines that information and determines that the activity indicates a deliberate attack, identifies the attacker's objective, and recommends a response. Intelligence always answers critical questions. Who is involved? What is happening? Why is it happening? So what does it mean, and what should be done next? If these questions are not answered, you are dealing with information, not intelligence. Intelligence is critical in security and defense because threats are complex, hidden, and constantly evolving. Resources are limited, and decisions must be made quickly and accurately. Intelligence helps organizations identify threats early, predict adversary behavior, prevent attacks before damage occurs, and support both strategic and operational decisions. Intelligence is not limited to cybersecurity, the military, or law enforcement. It is part of everyday life. Consider a weather forecast. Sensors collect temperature and pressure data. Meteorologists organize and analyze that data into a weather report. When they issue a storm warning and advise people to stay indoors, that is intelligence. It is analyzed information that supports decision-making. The same applies to personal security. If you notice someone standing near your house once, it is just observation. If you notice the same person appearing repeatedly at odd hours and conclude that it could be surveillance, prompting you to take precautions, that is intelligence. Intelligence is simply structured thinking applied to information. To work with intelligence, you must understand its language. A threat is a potential cause of harm. In cybersecurity, this could be a hacker group, malware, or a hostile nation-state. A vulnerability is a weakness that can be exploited, such as weak passwords, unpatched systems, or poor security policies. Risk exists when a threat exploits a vulnerability and causes impact. Risk is always a combination of threat, vulnerability, and impact. An adversary is an individual or group that intends to cause harm, such as cybercriminals or hostile actors. An actor, on the other hand, is any entity that performs actions in a system. Actors can be benign, such as employees and users, or malicious, such as attackers. Capability refers to what an adversary can do, including their skills, tools, and resources. Intent refers to what the adversary wants to achieve, such as financial gain, espionage, or disruption. Capability combined with intent determines the overall threat level. Intelligence operates across different domains. Military intelligence focuses on armed forces, enemy capabilities, and battlefield awareness, supporting defense planning and operations. Law enforcement intelligence focuses on crime prevention, criminal networks, and terrorism, supporting investigations and public safety. Cyber intelligence focuses on digital threats and cyber operations, supporting cyber defense, incident response, and national security. Cyber intelligence bridges technology with traditional intelligence principles. Intelligence is produced through a structured process known as the intelligence cycle. The cycle begins with direction and planning, where decision-makers define intelligence requirements and identify what they need to know. This could include questions such as who is targeting the organization, or what type of attack is likely. The next stage is collection, where data is gathered from various sources such as logs, sensors, reports, and open-source information. After collection comes processing and exploitation, where raw data is cleaned, sorted, and converted into usable formats. This stage removes noise and prepares the data for analysis. Analysis is the core of intelligence work. During analysis, information is examined to identify patterns, link events, and draw conclusions. This is where information becomes intelligence. Once analysis is complete, intelligence is disseminated to decision-makers in a clear, timely, and relevant manner. The final stage is feedback, where decision-makers provide input that refines intelligence requirements. The intelligence cycle is continuous, not linear. In a practical cyber example, the cycle might begin with a requirement to identify unusual network behavior. Logs are collected, filtered, and processed. Analysts detect abnormal traffic patterns and report their findings to the security team. Based on feedback, further investigation may be requested, continuing the cycle. To produce reliable intelligence, analysts rely on tradecraft. Tradecraft refers to the methods, skills, and best practices used by intelligence professionals. This includes analytical methods, source evaluation, reporting techniques, and ethical conduct. Tradecraft ensures that intelligence is accurate, reliable, and trustworthy. A good intelligence analyst must be objective, curious, skeptical, and ethical. Ethics are critical in intelligence work because decisions can affect systems, organizations, and lives. Key ethical principles include accuracy, confidentiality, integrity, and responsibility. One of the greatest challenges in intelligence analysis is bias. Bias is a distortion in judgment that can lead to wrong conclusions and poor decisions. Common biases include confirmation bias, assumption bias, and cultural bias. Bias can cause analysts to ignore evidence, misinterpret data, or reinforce incorrect beliefs. To reduce bias, analysts use structured analytical thinking. Structured thinking involves separating facts from assumptions, asking the right questions, considering alternative explanations, and validating sources. This disciplined approach helps analysts produce sound intelligence. In summary, intelligence is analyzed information used for decision-making. Data becomes information, and information becomes intelligence through analysis. Intelligence supports security, defense, and cyber operations by reducing uncertainty and guiding action. The intelligence cycle structures how intelligence is produced, and tradecraft ensures accuracy, ethics and reliability. Key terms to remember from this module include intelligence, threat, vulnerability, risk, adversary, the intelligence cycle, and tradecraft. This module forms the foundation for everything that follows in the Cyber Threat Intelligence course. In the next module, we will build on this foundation and begin applying intelligence concepts directly to cyber threat analysis. If you found this lesson helpful, like, share, and subscribe. Continue to the next module and welcome to your journey into cyber threat intelligence with iTCA Cybersecurity Academy.